Question of whether the United States of America would directly attack the Iran and whether Iran could successfully resist is rooted in more than 4 decades of political tension, proxy conflict, and strategic rivalry. To understand the possibility of a direct war, one must examine the history between the two nations. 1. The origins of hostility, 1953 to 1979. Image relations dramatically changed in 1953 when the U.S. supported a coup that removed Iranian Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh and strengthened the rule of Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. Many Iranians viewed this as foreign interference. In 1979, the Iranian Revolution overthrew the Shah and established the Islamic Republic under Ayatollah Khomeini. Soon after, Iranian students seized the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, triggering the Iran hostage crisis. Diplomatic relations were severed, and hostility became permanent. 2. Proxy wars and rising tensions, 1980s to 2010s. Image during the Iran-Iraq War, the United States supported Iraq indirectly. In 1988, direct naval clashes occurred during Operation Praying Mantis, when U.S. forces attacked Iranian naval assets. Tensions intensified again in the 2000s over Iran's nuclear program. In 2020, the U.S. assassinated Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in Baghdad. Iran retaliated with missile strikes on U.S. bases in Iraq. Despite the escalation, neither side pursued full-scale war. Military capabilities. Could Iran resist? Image: the United States possesses the world's most advanced military, including aircraft carriers, stealth bombers, and global strike capability. A direct U.S. assault would likely focus on air superiority, cyber warfare, and precision strikes. However, Iran has built a strong asymmetric defense strategy, a large ballistic missile program, proxy forces across the Middle East, control over strategic waterways like the Strait of Hormuz, the powerful Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC. Iran likely could not defeat the United States in a conventional war. However, it could make the conflict extremely costly by disrupting oil shipping, launching missile attacks, and activating regional allies. 4. Would the U.S. directly attack Iran? Historically, the U.S. has avoided full invasion for several reasons. Fear of another prolonged Middle East war, risk of regional escalation involving Israel, Gulf states, and proxy militias, global oil market disruption. Diplomatic and economic, both nations have preferred indirect confrontation rather than direct war. Conclusion. History shows that while tensions between the United States and Iran have repeatedly escalated, both sides have stepped back from full-scale war. If a direct attack were to occur, the United States would likely dominate militarily. Iran would resist fiercely through asymmetric warfare. The conflict would destabilize the entire Middle East. For now, history suggests deterrence and controlled escalation remain the dominant strategy for both countries rather than outright war. Looking at the long arc of history between the United States of America and Iran, one consistent pattern appears: confrontation without total war. Despite moments of extreme tension, from the Iran hostage crisis to the killing of Qasem Soleimani, both nations have calculated the cost of direct conflict and chosen restraint. The reason is not weakness, but strategic realism. A direct American invasion of Iran would be far more complex than past wars in the Middle East. Iran's geography, vast mountains, deserts, and dense urban centers would make occupation extraordinarily difficult. Unlike Iraq in 2003, Iran has a larger population, stronger national unity against foreign invasion, an advanced missile program, deep regional alliances and proxy networks. On the other hand, Iran understands that a full-scale conventional war with the United States would threaten the survival of its political system. The U.S. military's air dominance, naval power, cyber capabilities, and economic sanctions capacity would severely damage Iranian infrastructure and economy. The most likely scenario: rather than a direct invasion, history suggests a continuation of proxy conflicts, cyber warfare, economic sanctions, limited, targeted strikes, diplomatic negotiations mixed with confrontation. This shadow conflict model has defined relations for over 40 years. Historical verdict. Based on historical patterns, a direct U.S. attack on Iran is possible, but unlikely unless triggered by a major regional event, such as a large-scale attack on U.S. forces or allies. If such a war occurred, the United States would likely win militarily in conventional terms. Iran would not collapse easily and would impose significant regional and economic costs. The Middle East would face long-term instability. Closing reflection. History teaches that powerful nations often avoid wars that promise no clear victory. The relationship between the United States and Iran is not simply about military strength. It is about deterrence, strategy, and political survival. For now, the balance of fear has prevented total war.